the links. Join the channel, become a member here over at Subscribe. Get a mailbox if you want to mail me a comic or something. So Hollywood firing these Scream actors for wrongthink. What a challenge it's going to be to get through this video. Don't say anything in the comments for Fig McDear. So it turns out that Hollywood really doesn't like free speech, and they're having their Norm Macdonald, Marlon Brando moment coming for Jenny Ortega and a bunch of other actors. So this is Spyglass says Melissa Barrera was fired from Scream due to rhetoric that flagrantly crosses the line into hat speech, because they say it does. So Hollywood's in this kerfluffle over that little conflict overseas, and some people are taking one side and some are taking the other. And there's a bunch of other actors who are going to get drawn into this: Tom Cruise, Susan Sarandon, Jenny Ortega. But what is happening is that one side is getting fired and blacklisted. Gosh, guys, welcome to the party. Wait till you lose your bank accounts and your payment processors, and you get kicked off of social media, and then you lose another bank account. Gosh, it's kind of... Don't you wish you had free speech? Like, guaranteed by law. Yeah, I know, the First Amendment, but I mean, applied to these NGOs, because the new town square is digital, and if these NGOs have more power than the government to destroy your life in this new digital economy, then the First Amendment is meaningless without applying it to this new digital world. Don't you wish you were protected from billion-dollar, trillion-dollar financial industries for your free speech, that you couldn't have your bank cancel you for send political speech online? It's just something to think about. It's weird that our 535 representatives don't ever actually do anything about that. It's like they don't really value free speech at all. So one side's getting fired and the other side's untouchable. I obviously take the correct viewpoint, whatever that may be, because YouTube pays a little. It's really not enough just on the advertising revenue, but people do tip, and that actually adds up. But more importantly, it sends people to the other platforms where I spread my message of love and start my militia in Oregon. So how this works is they join the Subscribe Star now. How this works is they create these shields over decades of media propaganda, 70 years-ish. All these they really kind of took the mask off about 1963. All these hot words and phrases, all the istophobic terms, they're not real organic language. Let me open this up a little. Can I zoom in? They're not real organic language. They're political terms used to manipulate the cattle via fear. It's like social... I wish I had more... I don't know what you call it, sociology, cultural anthropology. I wish I had more of that background to understand. Like, I know there's terms that describe this Bolshevik level manipulation. Anyway, it's a signal to the other members of the power club that this labeled person is an outsider and they must be destroyed. Calling someone one of those istophobic terms, those wrong-thinking terms, is a way to degrade and dehumanize them so people feel comfortable destroying them. It's a signal that they're the other and you better take our side against the other while we go after them. Otherwise, you just might be the other also. So, it's a witch hunt. Make sure that you identify the witch so we can sacrifice her, so you're not the next sacrifice. And isn't there a reason we have due process? Oh, that's for Nazis. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. You're saying that they're the ones who support free speech and due process? Yeah, that's kind of a convoluted argument, if you ask me. So part of it is normalizing the concept of violence for opinions, the mens rea, not the actus reus. The phrase punch a new German, I'll say, just means to do violence to people that you have labeled as wrong thinkers when you're in a position of power such that the label has power to stick. Where the powerless, we can't label them anything because we don't have that privilege of power. It's the Hollywood, the mainstream media, the financial, the NGOs, they're the ones in power. They have brainwashed kids who were never taught how to think. They were taught what to think, to accept. And if you don't believe me, go take a look at your kid's school. It's why a lot of people are homeschooling. Homeschooling is actually, it's never grown faster than it has over the past 4 years. So they were taught to accept a puppet master's labeling a political enemy and skip the due process. Just go straight to violence. At their beck and call. They have the power to bind and loose, and they want you very tightly focused as long as karma doesn't come back to them. Except in this current situation, with that kerfluffle overseas, it is coming back to them. Punch a German slippery slopes itself into violence against women who don't want men in their bathrooms. It literally just happened at some women's protest against violence against women, male violence against women. There's a women's protest, so men show up to do violence against women and then film themselves and put it on social media how proud they are to do violence against. Oh no, it's okay. They're TERFs. Oh, by all means, do violence against women as long as you label them TERFs. So, I mean, the thing is, what do you think the result of feminism was going to be? Oh, it was going to stop when we had decided it was going to stop. You're pushing the train, and you go, okay, this is the station, we're ready to stop. So you step away from the train, and you discover there's a bunch of other people who keep pushing it. You're like, oh no, it's gone far enough. Stop. No, there's no brakes on that train. So what they have made acceptable is male on female violence, as long as you label the males one thing and you label the females the other thing. It's all literally happening right now. And nobody really feels sorry for the women, the feminists, because it's like you had your foot on the gas until just a couple of years ago. So all you have to do is label someone to start dehumanizing them. The other part is of this psychopathy is to wear a mask and dress all in black. Now you're invisible, and you can tap into your inner psychosis, your deep-seated hatred at the world, all your anger, and it can be just taken out at the person that you've been brainwashed into hating until karma returns the favor and the other side starts dressing in uniforms and wearing masks also. Or in this, can I open up the comments? In this current situation, parts of your own group identify the puppet masters as the enemy because they've been told how to identify the enemy. They have fair skin. So karma is going to sting. Can I open up more comments? I know there's more comments than this. Karma is going to sting this time. They use media to brainwash people who don't think critically, to think that Islamophobicism is the greatest evil on earth, except they never define it, or as the ADL does, they change the definition to manipulate sheep. And people have been brainwashed for 70 years to have a stimulus response that bypasses thinking. They just accept whatever the media tells them without asking what is behind this, who benefits, follow the money, what's really going on, how am I being manipulated. Thinking critically. It's like thinking critically 101 that our generation learned because we were taught how to think. Even if you disagree with the professor, and if you look at schools now with all the rainbow flags and the certain messaging, and you think, like, would a kid feel comfortable disagreeing with that messaging? Because there's no counter messaging put up there. There's no religion. Is there any counter messaging allowed? All these rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter. You go, okay, well, the student wants to have a White Lives Matter flag put up there. Oh, no. So no, of course the student's not going to feel comfortable. Or a super straight flag or something like this. Of course the student's not going to feel comfortable. They go, but teacher, I'm thinking, this is my argument. I've reached a different conclusion, and several of the other students have. In fact, there's a fascinating article on that, but these teachers are telling on the students are telling on their teachers because the teachers are teaching prohibited material, and the students are telling their parents and calling the school, and the teachers are getting in trouble because, like, all you have to do is you're told not to, like, they're teaching some Ta-Nehisi Coates book, which is this bizarre anti-white racist nonsense by this legitimately low IQ person. I have a couple of his books on the shelf. Legitimately a dumb person. And so the students are telling on their teacher, and they're like, BuzzFeed is writing these articles like, how can this teacher ever learn to trust her students again? Just teach what you're supposed to teach and not the prohibited material. Like, honestly, homeschool, I've done videos on Odyssey for homeschooling. It's absolutely key. Anyway, so everything that they do is in respect to Tom Cruise for having he's the biggest actor in Hollywood. So if he never works again, it's really not a big deal for him. But giant balls of steel to stand up. So everything they do isn't organic. It's a Bolshevik trick to destabilize a nation. Here's why those phrases aren't real. All those, calling you. I hesitate to use them for YouTube, but like, so one of the phrases is like sexist. and all those ists and phobes and antis, all those kind of phrases, none of those are real. They're just political societal manipulation tools because they don't apply equally. They were created by globalists to be anti-white and destroy the nation. These groups who push this are just communist organizations whose only goal is to cause as much chaos as possible. The ADL, SPLC, ACLU are fighting hate, they claim, but why aren't they fighting anti-white racism or anti-Christian intolerance or misandry? Because those groups are the ones, these groups, the ADL, SPLC, ACLU, are the ones who are fomenting all that hatred. These groups don't fight hate. They unify all groups to hate you. They want all the hatred directed at you and away from them. They grow the tall grass so you're distracted and the snakes can be camouflaged. Except a few things are happening that's starting to destroy their systems of control, social media and cell phones. Technology allows us to turn the spotlight around on them, and they absolutely hate that. They were fighting for free speech until they gained control. Then they, in 1984 fashion, called speech that called out their supremacy hate speech, and it must be banned to protect our democracy. Okay, Schumer. They decided their speech is allowed, but opposition speech is hate speech and must be banned. And it's weird that the universities, media, social media, and left-wing pundits all agreed, and they started parodying the same propaganda. Any criticism is a threat to our democracy and must be made illegal. If your ideas can't stand against free speech in the open marketplace, then they're bad ideas. People who have the best ideas don't need to censor the opposition. People with bad ideas need censorship. But now, as you see, Hollywood and the left is having some issues due to social media and the rapidly changing demographics, because the people at the top, those at the nexus points, support one side, but the rank and file support the other side and are brave enough to express it on social media, at least some of them are. And suddenly they're finding out that their agents, lawyers, public relations people, they're all those kind of things that deal with actors, they're all canceling their contracts and running away in fear, which leads us to Scream and Jenny Ortega, Susan Sarandon, even Tom Cruise has found himself involved in this. Because what Hollywood is telling you is that when you have the power to call one group's speech hate, but they're powerless to do the same, then they're telling you who's at the apex, and it's not you. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Definitely don't say anything in the comments. Perfect, McDear. And I will see you guys all next episode.